Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that we're going to hit right now is something we don't get to do very often, or at least recently. We get to poke and laugh at Chris Murphy taking an L on gun control and then decrying the fact that Democrats took one of his little pet projects away. You guys are going to love every second of this. Republicans get a win on this one, and so do gun rights advocates, because Chris Murphy be very big mad. Everything will be linked in the description box below. I can't wait to hear what you guys think, and of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. All right, so let's look at the article that we're going to talk about. We're going to run it through the sponsor for the video, Ground News. Let me show you the impact of this. Senator blast Democrats for giving mentally incompetent veterans gun rights in new bill. Well, we'll get to all that, but again, this is Chris Murphy, so wow. But you'll notice a familiar name. Owned by the individual Roberts family. It's mixed factuality. It's left from the Huffington Post. Well, that's weird because NBC and MSNBC were also both owned by the Roberts family. Weird. It's almost like the same messages being sent across the spectrum. Anyway, Ground News tells you where it's all from, but let's take a look at something even broader, right? Let's talk about the State of the Union. Biden will try to use the State of the Union to address and convince voters he deserves a second term. Well, he doesn't. Let's save him some time. But when you look at who's actually writing articles about it, there's 39 sources in the last few hours, and 51% are center, and it tells you and shows you exactly who's covering it, where the attention is, and they even have a blind spot feature which shows you where the other side that you are on is paying attention and gives a rating. This is something that's interesting stuff. If you are looking for this, check it out in the description box below. You might want to take a look. You get it for about $1 a month, 30% off, and of course, use the code ground.news/Langley, and thank you to them for making this content possible. And now, brothers and sisters, the moment. Chris Murphy, little Murphy, Big Chris, as they like to call him on the Senate streets. Look at this. Veterans deemed mentally incompetent will gain gun rights under the new funding bill. The must-pass government funding package will expand gun rights for an unlikely group, and some Democrats voted for it. Being on the other side of this after 3 years of being on the opposite is really nice. Understand, the Republicans in their little budget, in their cuts, where they got the ATF and the DOJ and the FBI, this is another thing that they got in there as a rider, and Democrats voted for it. So this is kind of the opposite of what usually happens, where Democrats get gun control snuck into a bill and Republicans vote for it. Well, now Democrats voted to undo some of Chris Murphy's biggest little pet projects. Check this out. And I hope you love every second of it. A must-pass government funding package will expand gun rights for the unlikely group. Veterans deemed mentally incompetent to manage their own affairs. Again, wait until you hear why, because this is all about managing finances, and that's it. The rider, buried in the multi-part minibus spending package, was enough to draw the opposition of Senator Chris Murphy, who has been a leading voice for gun reform. Yeah, leading voice for gun reform. But that's what they mean by he's been in the pocket of the gun control groups for the last 12 years. Anyway, though the rider was primarily backed by Republicans, 6 House Democrats voted in favor of it. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, what did Chris have to say? The provision will be a death sentence for many, Murphy wrote Wednesday in a widely circulated series of tweets. It's unacceptable this provision was pushed by Republicans. Democrats should not have acquiesced. It's like almost like we're living in opposite land, right? Because we're used to being the ones that get screwed on the riders and the minibuses and all the little sneak-in things. Well, it turns out you kind of took some rights from veterans because they couldn't manage their affairs properly, like running a budget. And that means you didn't know gun rights through the FBI? Yeah, that's a bit of a problem, particularly when these people signed up to defend our freedoms, and you repay them by saying, hey, are you bad at holding a budget? Yeah, you're probably mentally incompetent, so you probably can't have gun rights. Chris Murphy and the Democrats, ladies and gentlemen, oh, they're so cranky. But let me show you what they're actually talking about, to be fair, what the article in the Huffington Post says. For decades, federal law has required the VA administration to flag the beneficiary of judges mentally incompetent to the FBI in order to add them to the NICS background check system, which blocks their future purchases of firearms. The VA classifies beneficiaries as mentally defective in cases where the person cannot manage their affairs on their own, requiring a third party to take charge of their finances. Again, if you cannot manage your financial situation, you lose your gun rights, according to an executive bureaucracy. Yeah, great. Chris Murphy, big mad, and you know what? I'll be honest, I'm here for it. Let's hear from him again. Quote, I'm really disappointed that for the first time in 20 years, a new gun rider is being added to the appropriations bill, Murphy told the HuffPost. This has the potential to get a lot of very seriously mentally ill veterans killed. It feels like we should be very careful, not cavalier, about schizophrenic veterans getting access to guns. Fiduciaries manage the financial affairs of some 67,000 veterans. So what he's saying there is basically, well, I mean, if you have any type of lack of ability to manage your finances, you probably have schizophrenia, so therefore you probably can't have your gun rights for safety. For safety, of course. Let's not be cavalier with people's rights. Yeah, cavalier, Chris Murphy, Mr. I've never seen a situation where I don't want to take away gun rights. But he's big mad at other Democrats who acquiesce to it, and even some partners and some fellow Democrats in the Senate are down with it, because you're taking gun rights away from those that gave up and sacrificed their time, energy, in some cases, body, well-being, mental fortitude, because of their desire to help something bigger than themselves. Yeah, no gun rights for you. Guys, I don't... Anyway, last thing I'll show you. Republicans have pushed to the limit the VA's ability to refer cases of mental incompetence to the FBI, contending that an inability to manage financial affairs isn't the same thing as having a life-threatening mental disorder. Where's the lie? That's exactly correct. Having issues managing your finances is a little bit different than life-threatening mental disorders. But Chris Murphy wants to lump all of it in together, and now he's big mad at Democrats who acquiesced to the Republican freedom train. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. Everything will be linked in the description box below, and thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next one.